Hey Aiden, this is going to be my last video because I think that the information from this video that I'm going to make right now plus the two previous videos should be enough information for you to figure out all of your problems. All the problems that you can't figure out. I have time to do one more video, but I can't make a video for every one of the problems that you have. So try to use this to help you figure out what's going on. And send me back one that you're still struggling with, and I can make you one more video if you need it. If you don't, then good job. So dealing with this one right here, the first thing you always want to do is find the parallel lines in the transversal. And in this case we have two transversals, but I'm only going to highlight one. The other one is right here, but we don't need to know that right now. So we're gonna remember we deal with one transversal at a time. We may not even need the second transversal, which is why it's important to just deal with one at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself with dealing with both at the same time. It just gets confusing. So we're gonna deal with this blue transversal first, and then go from there. So we have this corner here is 130 degrees. So because of vertical angles, we can say that this one's 130 degrees. And because of corresponding angles, we can say that this one is 130 degrees because this one corresponds with this one. And then vertical angle says that this one here is 130 degrees. Obviously, it's broken up into smaller pieces, but that's not important because we don't need to know what this angle isn't that important to us. It's not something that we need to know in order to figure this question out. So it's easy to figure out that it's 50 because 50 and 80 is 130, but it's not necessary to figure out. So just keep in mind that this one's 130, and that's all that matters. Okay, so we dealt with that. We put 130 everywhere. So I'm actually going to make this neater. So I'm going to erase it and redraw the things on here. So we have our parallel lines and our transversal, and we know that that one's 130, that one's 130, that one's 130, and that one's 130. Again, whole thing. Okay, so we know that. The other thing we have is this one right here, we know is x minus 20. So that means that this one must be x minus 20, and corresponding, so this one must be x minus 20, and this one must be x minus 20. Okay. So that's dealing with one transversal. We didn't even have to touch the other transversal, and I'll tell you now that we're not going to have to. It's unnecessary for us. So we see that this is a straight line that's broken up into two angles. Here's one angle, here's the other angle, and we know that when we have that, they add up to 180 degrees. Okay? So that means that we have, and I'm going to do the math over here, we have 130 degrees plus x minus 20 equals 180 because of supplementary angles. When let's subtract 130 from each side, this is just basic algebra, you know what you're doing here. We're left with x minus 20 equals 180 minus 130 is 50. So that's saying that this right here equals 50. So that means that this angle here is 50, this angle here is 50, this angle here is 50, and this angle here is 50. So we know the angle side, but that's still not the information we need because we actually want to know what x is. So that part's easy. We just add 20 to both sides, basic algebra. So we know that, so we know that x equals 70, and that's actually the answer to the question. So the important steps to go by is to identify the parallel lines, identify one of the transversals, and find out everything that you need to know. Like we found out this, we found out this, we found out this. We found out all this information. We didn't necessarily need it all, but we found it all out. And from that information, we were actually able to answer the question without even having to deal with this transversal. You may, in many problems, need the second transversal to figure out the questions, but deal with one before you deal with the other. Okay? In the case that we were going to deal with this transversal right here, things would change quite a bit. I'm actually just going to show you, you don't need to know this for this problem. We've already solved the problem. The answer is x equals 70, but just so you can see it, I'm going to redo it. you have parallel lines again. We have our blue transversal that I done before, and we'll make the other one a pretty golden color. Okay, so we were able to determine that this was 130, this was 130, this whole thing was 130, and this whole thing right here was 130. And that this was 50, 50, 50, and 50. So now we're going to deal with this golden transversal here. I'm even going to write over the other ones because it doesn't really matter. And these parallel lines here, which is very important. Okay? So we know that this one has to be 80, so this one must be 80, and this one is corresponding, so that must be 80, and this one's corresponding, vertical, so that must be 80. So we have, again, our supplementary angle. This angle and this angle must equal 180 degrees, so we can quickly tell that this one's 100 degrees, 100 degrees, 100 degrees, and 100 degrees. Again, that transversal and what happens with it doesn't come into play at all in the other one, but we can see how we can figure things out based on one or the other. That information, repeat, had nothing to do with the last problem. We figured it out just with this transversal, but I wanted to show you that the answers that you get for the other transversal are 100% different than the answer that you get from the first transversal. And there's lots of ways to find so much information that you do not need. So don't get caught up in figuring out what this transversal is when we didn't actually even need any of the information from that transversal. This information was plenty, and that's where we should have stopped. Okay, I hope this helps. Let me know if you have any further questions, and I can make you one more video, but use the information from the videos that I'm sending to figure out all your other questions. Let me know how it goes. Let me know if the videos work for you, and if they do, then we'll continue to do it this way, because it's easier to show you than it is to try to explain in an email. Okay, I will talk to you soon. Bye.